It took me 40 years to find out that I am a teacher at core.
Wow.
My talent is to inspire. It's not data science.
Hello, Happy New Year. Good day to all our listeners tuning in from different parts of the world. 2025 is going to be a fulfilling year. My name is Victoria, a communication specialist. This podcast is birthed from 12 months of intense full-time job hunts and over 100 rejections. The Yelo Room Podcast is a safe space for job seekers like me that have been rejected and for job seekers that are struggling in their career and life. This is a place for you to relax, to learn, to laugh, be inspired, and have some form of fulfillment. The Yelo Room Podcast is all about stories, where you listen to other people's stories and also share your story. We have a lot in store for you. So today, we are honored to welcome a friend and mentor who has spent 22 years as a data scientist at IBM, developing AI courses on platforms like Udemy and Coursera, and teaching cognitive skills globally with IBM Watson. Also a certified mindfulness instructor. Welcome to the Yelo Room Podcast, Armen. It's such a privilege to have you launch our journey. All right. Our topic for today is self-awareness. We chose this topic to be the first because it has a lot to do with identity crisis. My job hunting experience is similar to a lot of listeners right now. I would use 98% of my time writing resumes, writing cover letters, using keywords, and using every best practice available. Sometimes I would get ghosted. Sometimes after 3 months, I'll get a rejection letter. It was a really heartbreaking experience for me. I began to doubt myself. I thought I was not worthy enough. I lost awareness of who I really am. And Professor, I know I'm not the only one in this condition. There are many people going through this all over the world, and some even worse cases than I. In a recent survey of 1,000 US job seekers, 72% report that job hunting has negatively impacted their mental health. So, Professor, we need you to throw more light on self-awareness and how it applies to job seekers. And also, in this very pressuring society where we have so many things, we have bills to pay, we have our loved ones to take care of and other things, how do we begin to practice self-love while feeling this pressure and also getting rejections every day? How do we balance this?
Dear Victoria, such an important question. And thank you so much for having me here. It truly is an honor of mine. It really is painful. It's nothing slight. It almost would deserve its own set of conditional therapeutic means that one could go to at a therapy store. Yeah. Especially for those who have just graduated and they are excited about the work and what they want to do, and yet rejection after rejection. And this is a global problem. I'm here in the US, in Massachusetts. Same thing is happening over here. Qualified folks. It's as though there is this algorithm out there in the employer sites that is looking for certain keywords. And all of a sudden, the machine, if it doesn't see those keywords, that resume somehow is shunned aside. And I've also found over the 20 years that I've been at IBM, when a company posts a job, well, it doesn't matter what the name of that company is. At first, they look inside to see if there's someone in the department that could probably rise up, even though the job is posted out there. It's like, I know Alice, she works downstairs. Maybe we can give her a shot at this position. These are the challenges that we're facing. Oftentimes, I recommend to folks something that I have done, seems to have helped, is to obtain badges and certificates 1 hour, 2 hour from Coursera, from LinkedIn, Udacity, Udemy. There are various sources that you can get a badge. And something of verbiage that resonates with the field that they're in, something about prompt engineering. Just those two words gets the radar at the AI company. The one other really important aspect in here is, despite all those good works that we do, and some of us get all the badges, design thinking is another good one that comes to my mind. The rejections keep coming in. Yeah. It seems that at this point, it's more than just a killer resume that would do the job. It's what's needed now on our own behalf, for our own well-being, is a sense of mental resilience. How do we get that? How can that help me? Well, mental resilience with job hunting is as much about that mental endurance as it's about skills or qualifications. When you practice self-appreciation, you're better equipped to keep pushing forward, to learn from setbacks, and approach each new opportunity with an optimism. Ultimately, self-appreciation isn't just a mindset. It's a form of self-care, just like we do with toothbrushing, the hours we try to spend sleeping, the food that we eat. Yeah. It's a mode of self-care. And it reminds you that you're more than just your career or your current circumstances.
True.
That your worth is intrinsic, not determined by a job title or a paycheck. I want to also add this, Victoria, to our listeners. Having practiced mindfulness, it helps to even to find out, how can I use mindfulness to better ground myself, to become more appreciative of what I have. Maybe at nights before bedtime, I can do a 5-figure gratitude count. I'm grateful for the roof over my head. Grateful that I'm not going to bed hungry today. Grateful that there's a peace at home. It's 5 of them, to think about that. And in time, maybe make that a 10-figure gratitude count. These activities, they strengthen the connections in the brain. And unbeknownst to us, those negative news that comes in is shunned aside a little bit more easier than absorbed and turn into our identity.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing those tips. Personally, at the end of each day, when I've worked, I wake up very early, 5 a.m., apply for jobs till 6 p.m. Sometimes I even have to work over the night. And then the next 2 days or the next few months, I'll receive a rejection letter. It is really heartbreaking. So thank you so much for these tips. I would begin practicing this 5-finger gratitude and even maybe extend it to more than 5 or 10, 20. So thank you so much for that. So our next question is about, you mentioned it in the first question. Why do I often tie my identity so close to my job hunting experience? For example, I see a job that I know I am qualified for. I meet the years of experience. I meet the skills, hard and soft skills. In fact, I even have recommendation letters. I have all these things, yet I still get rejection. So when I get rejection letters, it really gets to me. So why does it happen to me? And I'm sure I'm not the only one. So people listening, it happens to us all as job seekers when we've spent so many efforts applying to jobs and all, and we still get rejection. Why does it come to us naturally to tie our identity to our job hunting experience that we are not worth it and all?
It's such an essential question, Victoria. Oh gosh. And you could address this in 2 ways. For those folks like myself who have been in a position in a company, one company, for decades, that becomes part of your part of your being. It's like my middle name, Armen Pischdotchian. What do you do? I work for IBM. Oh, okay. All questions are answered. And this past summer, I retired. And all of a sudden, that little part that says Armen Pischdotchian is gone. So now who I am? What do I do now? My identity was gone. I knew who I was, where I was going. on the travels. That's how I was introduced to people. It gave me that credence, credibility to step inside the room and start to say things. Oh, he's from IBM. He's a chief data scientist there, and been working on what? All that's gone now. Now, and then that's a different question for somebody who's trying to start up. And I think what would perhaps help is for us to spend some time thinking about the difference between talent and skill. Companies are quick to ask for skills from their candidates in various things. Are you skilled in Python? Are you skilled in agile methodologies? Are you skilled in governing people? Yeah, but what about my talent? My talent is in cooking. I'm a really good cook. I'm talented in that. You know, my talent is in music. I actually, I'm really good. Some people are telling me, for example, not me, but you know, it's some they might be talented in that. The trick becomes, and it's easier said than done, to find a way to make a connection between the talent and the music. If you're a musician and you have just gotten a bachelor's in data science or some such, well, they don't match to a data science, AI engineer and musician. What do you mean? But what if you combined these two together and using generative AI created some amazing music and a hybrid of your own instruments and sounds and tones that are quite, you know, strange to us, but very palatable. You know, you're using both. You're using your technology that you studied with and the talent that you're in. Easier said than done. Finding talent is not something we learn in school. There's no talent 101 classes. There might be classes on Python 101. That's a skill. But what about that? I say, if you take a look back, regression. Take a look back at your parents. Maybe not both, but perhaps one of them. And it could be what they did wasn't really work, but a hobby of theirs. That's in the chromosomes. That's in your DNA. My mother was a teacher. It took me 40 years to find out that I am a teacher at core. You know, my talent is to inspire. It's not data science. You know, I'm not in love with data. Travel with a nice little CSV file in here, trying to look for outliers. Aha, I got it. There's an outlier there. No. AI engineer, it's a great science. I love AI, and I like how the machine makes predictions and the math that goes behind it. But am I enamored by being an AI engineer? No, I'm enamored in going home at the end of the day and having changed somebody's day, not life. When students come up to me and say, I'm viewing this a little bit differently from what I had, that my task is that, you know, my talent in inspiring it. So take a moment and just see what it is that talent doesn't usually pay well, not at first. Yeah. But if we can start in life to make these two come together, you know, it's you know, ask yourself, am I an introvert or an extrovert? Don't change it. Don't change it. You can't change it. If you're an extrovert, perhaps it's something in sales, tech sales, if you're in a technology-laden area. If you're an introvert, then you're probably good with coding and programming, and you know, these COVID might have been a good thing for you as an introvert. The sounds, the stimuli just died down, so you could focus. You could sit in the room and come up with a code. And the patent holders are introverts. Einstein was an introvert. Find out who you are. And yeah, I often say it's quite all right if your first job, the title, isn't exactly what you are meant or you were applying for to do. Get your foot in the company. The bigger the company, the better. The less he said, she said, and backstabbings. There's a human resources department in a big company. And in time, while you start off perhaps doing something that you weren't really pumped about, and then maybe it was a little bit below your grade, if you would, but in a year or so, you'll find yourself moving. Yeah. It's important to get in an environment that looks and feels like you, and yet you're doing a job that's not quite exactly what you had in mind, as opposed to doing the job that you wanted, but in a toxic environment with a small group of people and so forth.
Wow, thank you. I really like your emphasis on the difference between talent and skills. So now with this mindset of my talent is different from my skill, I think I've also had to apply to this podcast because I saw that applying for a job every day is affecting me. So what if I change? I do something I love. I love writing. I'm an introvert. I'm an introvert. I love writing. I don't like being in camera, for example, but here I am because I know my skills are so different from my talents. I think my talent is reaching out to people, particularly children, and also my talent is writing. I like explaining, I like breaking down complex things. So that's advice on identifying your talent and skills will really help other job seekers. So my next question is, how does realizing that a job is not the summary of life change my perspective, for example, on job hunting? Like I see a job, I know I'm qualified for this job, but realizing that this job is not the end of life, there's so much more than my job title. How would it affect my perspective in job hunting?
Yeah, it's such an essential question, Victoria, you ask. Not so wonderful answer, but a true one is time solves that problem. But that's a truism because time does solve a whole lot of, the passage of time does solve a whole lot of problems. I think what the area that sometimes we need to do exactly what you're doing right now, Victoria. As we're knocking on all these doors and none of them are opening, or maybe just a crack open and then, hi, how are you? And then they close, maybe an interview, one at most. And nowadays, they don't even talk to you. They want you to send a video of something that you know about. And then based on that video, you might get an interview call or not.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the trick is to maybe not so much stop the madness that continues, but not make it numero uno pursuit. But perhaps the numero uno pursuit is just start your thing.
Yeah.
Start your thing. And at first, there probably won't be much money coming in. A podcast is exactly that. You have started your thing.
Yeah.
And there's no telling who might jump in and how this might lead and the views that you might get. So one of my advices is while you are going through this turmoil of applying to work for someone else, keep thinking, what can I do for me, my data? What if I am my own boss and I tell me what to do? It's a way of thinking. And in time, it starts to find footing and grounding. Now you have a startup. Now your thoughts are different. You need to be mentored by other startups. Now you need to look for funding, seed funding, apply to Techstars or apply to Y Combinator. Easier said than done. Another apply. But now it's you're not asking for a job now. You're
exactly.
Asking to get curriculum.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much for this. For example, I applying this mindset of job is not the summary of life. It has really changed my perspective on job hunting. Before now, I applied to jobs that are even less of my experience, but now I know my worth, right? Because I've decided to do something different. I've decided to do something entirely different out of my comfort zone. So thank you so much. And our last question for today is, what advice do you have for listeners feeling stuck or unworthy because of their career struggles?
Yeah, gosh. One of the thoughts that comes to my mind is trying to get good at what AI can't get good at.
Wow.
Management, marketing, Those are teachers for now. For now. Empathy. The machine does not have to walk somebody else's shoes. These are management constructs. Interestingly enough, when layoffs do take place, guess who are the ones that are first in line? It's the coder, who we were looking for their skills so much, because ChatGPT is doing the coding pretty good now. Guess who gets to stay? The one manager who is really good with the people, with motivating them, but does not know a thing or two about Python. Those little skills, how to use a screwdriver, not in here. But he's got empathy. What people want to be with him. He draws. So think about means and ways that you can excel in what it is that the AI cannot do. Remember, the AI is good in finding the needle in the haystack. That's what it is, good in uncovering what it is that you don't know, insights. Okay, right? Let's use those. It's not cheating. Let's use those. Let's use those to make an amazing presentation. But all the time, let's bear in mind, what is it that I can do that the machine can't? I want to get good at that.
Wow. That's really deep. That's really deep. I think I saw somewhere on LinkedIn that someone posted that how she gets better in writing is she will ask ChatGPT to do a particular thing, to write this blog or then for her, and then she does the exact opposite of what ChatGPT suggests. So that way she stands out and is so different from every other person using ChatGPT. Yeah, so thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Armen, for sharing your wealth of wisdom. Thank you for committing your time to this. Thank you so much. To our listeners, this podcast only gets better. This is our first one. I hope you're able to learn one or two from today's episode. I want to assure you that this podcast will keep getting better. This podcast is about sharing stories. So if you have, we would like to hear your stories. I would like to hear stories. So if you have a story, if you're like me, that you've spent the whole of 2024 looking for a job, please reach out to me on LinkedIn, Victoria Johnson. I will link my bio in the description section. And also share this with your colleagues, share this with your friends, share this with your family, share it with everybody going through job hunting right now. Till next time, stay positive, believe in yourself, and enjoy life to the fullest. Happy New Year once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.